MS-13, also known as Mara Salvatrucha, is one of the most infamous and feared gangs in the world. Today, it is more than just a street gang. It is an international criminal network. But its story begins in the 1980s, during the brutal civil war in El Salvador. At that time, El Salvador was torn apart by a bloody conflict between government forces and left-wing guerrillas. Tens of thousands of people were killed, and many families fled the country in search of safety. Large numbers of Salvadorans migrated to the United States, settling in poor neighborhoods of Los Angeles. But there, they faced another problem: street gangs that already controlled the streets. Mexican-American and other Latino gangs often targeted Salvadoran newcomers. To protect themselves, young Salvadorans formed their own groups. Out of this struggle for survival, MS-13 was born. The name has deep meaning. Mara is a Central American slang word for gang. Salvatrucha refers both to Salvadoran identity and to the guerrilla fighters of the Civil War. The name was a symbol of pride, but also a warning. At first, MS-13 was just a group of teenagers trying to defend themselves. Many of them were into heavy metal culture, and the gang looked more like a youth clique than an organized crime group. But that quickly changed. The gang embraced violence as a tool, and soon they became known for their brutality. One key figure in this transformation was Ernesto de Veras. He had been trained by U.S. Special Forces during the war in El Salvador. When he joined the gang in Los Angeles, he brought military discipline and tactics. Under his influence, MS-13 evolved from a loose street crew into a structured and deadly organization. The gang's main rival became the 18th Street Gang, another powerful Latino group. The battles between MS-13 and 18th Street turned Los Angeles into a war zone. Drive-by shootings, brutal beatings, and murders became common. To join MS-13, new members had to survive a ritual: 13 seconds of a savage beating by other members. This jump-in ritual became a symbol of loyalty and toughness. In the 1990s, U.S. immigration policy changed the course of MS-13's history. The government began deporting thousands of immigrants with criminal records. Many MS-13 members were sent back to El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. But instead of weakening the gang, deportation helped it spread. Back in Central America, these deported gang members found weak governments, poverty, and broken societies still recovering from war. Police forces were underfunded, and corruption was everywhere. In this environment, MS-13 thrived. They quickly took over neighborhoods, extorting businesses, controlling transportation routes, and building a new criminal empire. MS-13 developed a complex structure. Local groups are called cliques. Each clique controls its own territory, collecting money and enforcing gang rules. Several cliques formed a programa, and at the top is the leadership known as the Ranfla. Much of this leadership operates from inside prisons, which often serve as command centers. The gang's image became unmistakable. Members covered their faces, arms, and bodies with tattoos, giant MS letters, the number 13, skulls, and symbols of death. These tattoos were not just decoration. They were meant to send a message: loyalty to the gang and terror to everyone else. By the 2000s, MS-13 had expanded far beyond Los Angeles. The FBI declared it one of the most dangerous gangs in the United States. Violent crimes linked to MS-13 appeared in cities like New York City, Washington, D.C., Houston, and beyond. Some of the most notorious cases happened on Long Island, where teenagers were brutally murdered, shocking the entire nation. In 2008, U.S. authorities launched a major operation called Operation Devil Horns. Dozens of MS-13 members were arrested in San Francisco, and many received life sentences. Yet even with these crackdowns, the gang continued to grow. Meanwhile, in El Salvador, the government tried a different approach. In 2012, officials brokered a truce between MS-13 and 18th Street. For a while, the murder rate dropped dramatically, but the peace was fragile. By 2014, the truce had collapsed and violence exploded once again. El Salvador soon became the murder capital of the world. MS-13's violence didn't just target rivals. Ordinary citizens suffered too. Shopkeepers were forced to pay protection money. Bus drivers who refused were killed. Families lived in fear. In many neighborhoods, the gang's rules mattered more than the government's laws. In recent years, El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, declared war on the gangs. In 2022, he ordered the military and police to surround the capital's largest neighborhoods. Tens of thousands of suspected gang members were arrested. Massive new prisons were built to hold them. Images of tattooed MS-13 members packed into cells went viral around the world. Bukele's crackdown dramatically reduced murder rates, but it also raised concerns about human rights abuses. Some reports claim that even as thousands are jailed, top leaders still find ways to avoid extradition and maintain power. Today, MS-13 operates across El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, and the United States. It is involved in drug trafficking, weapons smuggling, human trafficking, extortion, and murder. Experts estimate the gang has tens of thousands of members. MS-13's story is more than just the story of a gang. It is the story of war, migration, poverty, and broken systems. It shows how violence can spread across borders and how a small group of young immigrants in Los Angeles became one of the most feared criminal organizations in the world.